Anyone who grew up in the 2000s will remember just how massive Fergie was. Not only was she a part of the Black Eyed Peas during their heyday, but she also found incredible success with her solo album, The Duchess, which spawned multiple hit singles, including 3 number ones. She was a staple on the radio for pretty much the whole decade, and it seemed like her momentum wasn't gonna let up anytime soon. However, her second record, 2017's Double Dutchess, didn't live up to expectations, to put it lightly, and has become infamous among pop music fans as an example of a flop album. Why did Double Dutchess do so poorly? Is it a bad album, or did the general public just not connect with it? Let's take a deeper dive into the story and see exactly what happened. In 2006, Fergie was seemingly unstoppable. The mammoth success of The Duchess proved she had it in her to be a solo star. Whether you liked her or not, she was an undeniable force in the music industry, with an impressive lineup of hits. Despite her solo success, Fergie went back to the Black Eyed Peas in 2009 for their album The End, and while this was a potentially risky move, considering she was doing just fine without the group, The End became one of the highest selling records of the 2000s, with 5 top 10 hits. Fergie was everywhere during this time. You could not put on the radio without hearing her voice, and this domination would continue with the next Black Eyed Peas album, 2010's The Beginning. While it wasn't received quite as well as The End, it still had multiple hit singles that kept Fergie in the public consciousness. After this record, the Peas decided to go on an indefinite hiatus, which left Fergie in a perfect position to drop more solo music. However, things were fairly quiet for her in the early 2010s, with her only musical output being soundtrack songs for movies like Step Up Revolution and The Great Gatsby, though she did state in late 2012 that she was writing for her second album. In 2013, she had her son with now ex-husband Josh Duhamel, and understandably took some time out of the public spotlight to focus on her family. However, it wouldn't be too long before she'd return to music with her 2014 single LA Love, which actually did moderately well, peaking at number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100 and being used in the TV shows Courtney and Chloe Take the Hamptons and HBO's Togetherness. It wasn't a monster hit by any means, but it was still a really fun track that updated her sound to fit the current musical landscape, while still retaining her signature party girl attitude and weird little eccentricities. At this point, her second album was slated for an early 2015 release, though 2015 came and went without any new material. In January 2016, a video was leaked of dancers dancing to the song Like It Ain't Nothin', along with a still from the video, leading to speculation that it could have been the next single. The song leaked in its entirety in February, which could explain why it wasn't made a single, but there has never been any confirmation as to whether it was planned to be one in the first place, especially since Fergie decided to pull a Beyoncé and film a video for every song on Double Dutchess anyways. She may have done this in response to the leak, or she may have planned it that way to begin with, but regardless, the decision to make a whole visual experience certainly didn't help with getting the album out sooner. Given how it had been 10 years since The Duchess, it may have been better to just scrap the visuals at this point, or push them to a later date. The actual next single, MILF Money, dropped about a year and a half after LA Love, in July 2016. Despite the long wait, the song still managed to do fairly well, peaking at number 34 on the Hot 100, along with having a controversial video that certainly got all eyes on her for a minute. MILF Money is one of Fergie's most over-the-top, ridiculous, and abrasive songs, and that is really saying something considering the rest of her discography. I love it to death. It's still one of my all-time most played songs, but I totally get why someone wouldn't like it. The relentless loud clapping, Fergie's in-your-face vocals, and the overtly sexual lyrics definitely make it an acquired taste, to say the least. The video, which featured cameos from other famous mothers, such as Ciara, Chrissy Teigen, and Kim Kardashian, attracted some controversy when it came out, with certain people saying it came across as desperate and trying too hard to be shocking. Whether the video was good or not, it was. It did do a great job at getting more eyes on her. Sadly, this attention began to wane by the time the next single, Life Goes On, dropped in November 2016. A feel-good trop-pop moment, Life Goes On was notably more reflective and low-key than the previous singles, which may have worked against it since it wasn't necessarily an attention grabber. I love Life Goes On. It's been a comfort play song for me ever since it came out, but I won't deny it does sound like pretty much any other trop pop song that was popular at the time, not really doing much to stand out, and consequently didn't end up charting on the Hot 100. The track was fittingly titled though, as Fergie decided to part ways with her former label, Interscope, in May 2017, and started her own label, Dutchess Music, as part of a partnership with BMG. Despite saying in a November 2016 Q&A that the album was finished and would be released in early 2017, it ended up getting delayed again, probably due to the label transition. Things were quiet for the first half of 2017, though in July, an unfinished version of the album leaked after it was accidentally uploaded to a BMG database. Despite this, the rollout continued, and the album was finally given a proper release date of September 22nd. Pre-orders became available on August 25th, along with the next single, You Already Know, featuring Nicki Minaj. I will go to my deathbed saying the song deserved so much better. The It Takes Two sample works really well with Fergie's rapping, and the whole song just has this frantic energy to it. It's catchy, clubby, odd, and memorable as hell, and Nicki's verse is fantastic as always. I still listen to the song. I don't care if it flopped. Someone's gotta show her some love, goddammit. Another track, Hungry featuring Rick Ross, dropped as a promotional single the same day, along with the video. This was definitely the darkest song yet, with ambient Middle Eastern inspired hip-hop production, and a foreboding choir in the background that gives the song a real sense of dread. It feels more like an interlude, since it doesn't really build to a huge climax or anything, but it works well as the album opener, since she was taking on some more serious topics in this era. You could definitely tell that from the trailer for the album's accompanying film, Seeing Double, which dropped a week later. This trailer is so overdramatic. I love how it plays out like an art house film, with the dramatic music and Fergie's serious narration, but then there's shots of her pouring milk all over her tits. It's awesome. She did say this album would represent the duality of her personality, and the visuals do a pretty good job with that. You have the more playful videos like MILF Money, and the stop motion video for Love is Blind, and then you have the more introspective stuff like Love is Pain and A Little Work, which was clearly meant to be the emotional centerpiece of the album, complete with an 11-minute video where she candidly discusses her former meth addiction. It's actually a really inspiring and hopeful video, with the whole concept being based around a drug-induced panic attack she had at an empty church one day, and how that led her to realizing she needed to make better choices in her life, despite how hard that could be. I won't lie, A Little Work was never one of my favorite songs from this album, but the video really does help it pack an emotional punch. Seeing Double was released exclusively at select theaters across the US on September 20th, just 2 days before the album's release date. I do not remember seeing any promo for this, so I'm guessing theaters probably weren't exactly crowded. It's too bad, cause I actually really like the visuals. They can feel a bit disjointed from each other, sure, but that kinda makes sense for Fergie given how eclectic her music is anyways. Side note, but I thought I was going crazy when I saw the video for Tension, because I remembered it being entirely different back in 2017. Apparently, the original version got taken down due to censorship, and got replaced by the new version, which actually features Joanne the Scammer in a pretty funny cameo. The original version is still out there online though. It's basically just a Coachella vlog, but it's really fun nevertheless. Double Dutchess finally released on September 22nd, 2017, a full 11 years after her solo debut, and it flopped. Yeah, there's no nice way of putting it. Sales were abysmal, debuting at number 19 on the Billboard 200 with 21,000 copies sold. Critical reception was lukewarm, with reviewers complimenting Fergie's uniqueness and confidence, but also noting the album felt like a tired rehash of her debut. Fans, for the most part, enjoyed it, and saw it as a welcome return to the pop world, though basically everyone agreed it took too damn long to come out. I really do think that's the reason it tanked. I know it's been said to death at this point, but she really should have released a follow-up to The Duchess right after the P's went on hiatus. I get that she had a kid, But girl, hire a nanny, I don't know. She said in multiple interviews that she wanted to put out a complete package, which is why we got visuals for every song, and I get that. She wanted to give us something she was truly proud of, and I can't begrudge her for that, but unfortunately that meant the album had to take a long time. She had a kid to take care of, on top of business ventures like her fashion and fragrance line, so her attention was clearly split between a lot of stuff. And sadly, in the time it took for her to get the album out, the general public had basically moved on from Fergie, relegating her to a 2000s nostalgia act, which I think is completely unfair. Obviously the Duchess is iconic, but Double Dutchess stands on its own as a well-done continuation. Just like its predecessor, Double Dutchess draws from the multiple genres Fergie loves the most, with reggae-inspired songs like Love is Blind and the electro-tinged Diddy Zone, party and club songs like Tension, Cleopatra, and LA Love, and big emotional ballads like Love is Pain and Save It Till Morning, which is one of my favorite Fergie songs, by the way. Her vocals are incredible, and the heart-wrenching lyrics about not wanting to fight with your partner, fearing they'll say something that'll cut too deep, is just, it's so good. I've cried to it a lot, and I've never even really been in that situation. It's just her performance that gets me. Also, her look in the video is a fucking serve. That hair color looks incredible on her, and that Tom Ford dress she's wearing, stunning. I know a Little Work was really supposed to be the big centerpiece of this album, but Save It Till Morning was always that to me. Double Dutchess, in my opinion, is a bit of a mixed bag. The songs I really like, but there are some tracks that always fell a little flat to me. Love is Pain never really stuck the landing, in my opinion. Enchante is really cute with a little sample of her son, but I don't revisit it a lot, and Hungry never really did anything for me. Despite that, there is some really great stuff on here. I still regularly listen to Love is Blind in the summertime. LA Love and MILF Money continue to be some of my favorite going out songs. Life Goes On is perfect for those nights where I'm feeling contemplative. And You Already Know is Still That Girl. I don't care what anyone says, it should have been a hit. I don't think this album is nearly as good or memorable as The Duchess. Frankly, that album had way better hooks, and I think it did a better job of genre blending. But it's still one worth checking out for pop lovers. It's a genuinely underappreciated album, and it's sad that she clearly put so much work into it, and it didn't really get any recognition. Not that an album's success should solely be measured by charts or awards. As long as she was proud of what she made, that's all that really matters. But it does suck that an album filled with some genuine bangers pretty much came and went. As for Fergie herself, she stayed busy with her footwear and fashion ventures, but has remained largely out of the music industry. To my knowledge, she hasn't made any public comments on Double Dutchess's performance, but I would imagine she was probably less than happy about it. Maybe this underperformance is what's kept her away from making new music, or maybe she just doesn't have any interest right now and wants to take a break. She'd appear at the 2022 VMAs with Jack Harlow to perform his song First Class, which heavily samples her song Glamorous, and this performance was well received. If anything, it was just heartwarming to see her performing again after it had been so long without any new music. While some people were hopeful that this marked an informal return to the music industry, she hasn't announced any plans to actually return to making music. Maybe one day she'll get back in the studio, whether she's solo or with the Peas, but until then, Double Dutchess will remain an infamous ending to her discography. The relentless loud clapping, Fergie's in-your-face vocals, and the overtly sexual lyrics definitely make it an experience to say the least. An experience for hoes, especially. I can't keep that in.